Next project is a tessellation. And to make your tessellation, you're going to need a 3-inch square of cardstock, a pair of scissors, a pencil, and some masking tape, just a couple pieces of masking tape. A tessellation is a repeated pattern, and we're going to make a shape that we can repeat over and over again. And the first thing you need to know is don't draw your design any closer to the corners than like 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to start by making some kind of design that comes down into the center of my card, but I'm going to stay away from the corners. It's really important that you don't cut your corners away, okay? I'm going to do that on the top. I'm also going to do that on the right. And since I made the other one geometric, maybe I'll make this one sort of curvy. Now notice how I drew them both, and I did not overlap my designs because I don't want to cut into this one with that one. I don't want to cut into that one with this one. Now that I've made my designs, I'm going to cut them out. Okay, I'm going to cut one at a time and move it across my piece. So once I've cut this out, I'm going to slide it from the right side to the left side. I'm going to tape it on. All right, so here I cut this piece out, and I'm going to slide it over. Now it's very important that this piece that I just cut out be exactly the same distance from the top as over here on this side. So I'm going to lay my pencil down there and just eyeball that. Looks like it's a little too low, just a tiny bit. There, that looks more like it. Lay my pencil there to keep it from moving. And I'm going to cut a piece of, or pull a piece of tape off, not a very big one. And I'm going to tape that, and I'm not going to overlap this. I want it bumped up right up against the edge. Like that, okay? Now I'm going to cut this piece and move it down here, okay? Now, one thing that I've noticed students doing when they do their design is they kind of stay way up here. That's going to make for a really boring design that keeps your shape in the shape of a square. You don't want it to be a square when you're done. You want it to be some kind of crazy shape, something that you can interpret as something else. Okay, so I've got this piece that I just cut here. I'm going to slide it down to this side. And again, I want to make sure that I'm the same width at the top and the bottom. Whoops, I just moved that. Let's try that again. That's a little too far. There we go. That looks about right. So I'm going to lay my pencil there. I'm going to get a little piece of tape. Oops, I moved it again, so I've got to eyeball it again. That's about right. And tape it. All right, the next thing I want you to do, once you've created your shape, Because I can't tell you how many times I hear students say, I lost my piece, I can't find my piece, someone stole my piece. Then I found a million of these laying around the classroom. None of them have a name on them. I have no idea who they belong to. So put your name on it immediately upon creating it, okay? Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start tracing your little created shape on a 12 by 18 piece of paper. And to do that, you're going to fold the left side back over so that you can line up the top and the left with the edges of your paper. You want it to be flush right up here. You want it to be flush right here. All right, so I'm going to trace that. When I finish tracing this, I'm going to slide it over to the right, and I'm going to fit it together. I'm going to fit my cut piece right into the piece I just traced, just like a puzzle piece. And it's so important that you get this lined up at the top and here, and that it's not sideways or wonky, because if you do, you'll get it like this drift where you're tracing it and it's not going to line up. You want to be able to get these traced all across from left to right and top to bottom so that they fit snugly. Now this is a piece of paper that is 18 inches wide by 12 inches high. So if I started with a 3-inch square, how many times am I going to trace that across this in an 18-inch length? How many times does 3 go into 18? Yes. And how many times does 3 go into 12? Yes. Okay. Now, I just did that once. Now I'm going to take my piece, I'm going to fold that out, fit it into that little puzzle piece, and look at how nice that fits, because I worked hard to line it up correctly. So now I'm going to do this again. Now, I'm not going to trace this all the way over for you. I just want you to see how I do this a couple of times from left to right and a couple of times from top to bottom. Okay, so I've got it traced 2 times. Now I'm going to fold the left side against. We're going to do that all the way across. How many times? 6 times. Now I'm going to go down on the left side from top to bottom. And I'm going to fit my piece nice and snug right up in there. And I'm going to trace it this way. I'm pressing down really hard with my fingers as I go around so that it doesn't go up underneath and so my piece doesn't shift. And there we go. So I would do that 1, 2, 3, 4 times down, 6 times across. And that is how you make a tessellation.